there's he wants a certain amount of money, and South Carolina is offering a certain amount of NIL money. The two have not reached an agreement on that. And so if he doesn't, apparently it's like, if the figure's not met, he's going to go into the portal, John. That's where that stands. But South Carolina reportedly is going to get a visit from Rocket Sanders this weekend, the running back out of Arkansas, who is a great talent and is reportedly going to visit South Carolina this weekend. So all that stuff continues to churn all over the country. We'll do recruiting here in the first half hour. Cliff Ellis at the bottom of the hour at 7:05. 7:05, we'll have another edition of Hoopin' and Hollerin' tonight with Coach John Combs of the South Carolina Basketball Coaches Association. We'll talk high school basketball in South Carolina and also talk about the upcoming Bash High School Holiday Tournament. Brian Rosefield, AD at Ridgeview, will join us for that as well. Scott Early from the South Carolina Athletic Coaches Association. They had an important press conference today as well, dealing with their ongoing efforts to fight opioid abuse among high school kids, and he'll join us to talk about that. And then SC Wild tonight, Major Billy Downer will be along, and he wants to talk waterfowl season tonight. He'll have a guest with him. So we are just loaded up, jammed up, totally full of it tonight, right here on Sports Talk. Let me update a couple things here from the Touchstone Energy Bowl North-South game from being out at the practices today. Practices began today. The South rosters had a number of changes due to illness and injury. So off the South roster, linebacker Seneca Moore of Crestwood, wide receiver Austin Cunningham of White Knoll, offensive lineman Landon Stradcutter of Stratford, offensive lineman J.T. Sewell of Gray Collegiate, place kicker Sam Crocker from Philip Simmons. The South team has added offensive lineman Dakari Sumter of Lower Richland. You talk about a human shadow maker, 6'7", 347. Also, they've added place kicker Chase Klein of Chapin. This is a kid after my own heart. He's going to Western Carolina on a golf scholarship. He's a +3 handicap, and he is a student of George Bryan's. So we have a fond feeling for him. On the North roster, defensive back Brandon Teemer out of Dorman suffered a leg injury in practice today. Don't know about his status moving forward. So we will have to wait and see on that with him. Okay, that is that on that. Let's go up to Little John and get a first taste of things up there. Smitty is up in the clouds where the press box is located at Little John. I call it the Dan Radakovich suite for the media at Little John. But he has got the great assignment tonight to watch the Gamecocks and the Tigers, couple of undefeated teams. It should be passionate. It should be heated. It should be violent out on that basketball court, Smitty.
I think it will be. And, guys, I'm not quite in Little John. They wouldn't let me in this early because it's a late tip, 8 o'clock. Thank you, television. I don't know what happened, but they turned me away. I threw Phil's name out there. I threw Chris Bergen's name out there. I even dropped Cliff Ellis's name and said that I was a personal friend. Didn't work. Didn't take. So I'm just outside, but I'll be very brief tonight because I'm excited to hear what you guys have to say with Cliff Ellis. Not every day that a 900-win coach steps away from the game, but I'm just outside of where Cliff Ellis had 177 of those victories at Little John Coliseum. And like you said, Corn, I expect it to be lit tonight. Both coaches, however, have downplayed the rivalry aspect heading into the game, really talking more about how they want to continue to grow as teams. Well, what we've seen from both of these teams so far, and everybody that's watched them play knows this, it goes through P.J. Hall and through Meechie Johnson and B.J. Mack for South Carolina. Now, I'll tell you, an X factor tonight might be Joseph Girard III for Clemson because his ability to shoot the three. If you think about coming into the game, let's imagine you're out on the floor with B.J. Hall, and he's got that full arsenal going. Hooks with both hands, the ability to put it on the deck, step to the outside, score from the inside. Okay, you have to dedicate personnel. Everybody has his eyes on him. Well, not only now does he have Chase Hummer as a running partner, but he's got Joseph Girard, a sharpshooter, a true sharpshooter, high IQ transfer. He's been the perfect fit so far. He has been absolutely the straw stirring this drink, the cherry on the cocktail for Clemson in that 7-0 start. And on the other side, if you're South Carolina, it's very similar because B.J. Mack has really been a godsend for Lamont Paris. I think the question now for South Carolina against Clemson is, can B.J. Mack kind of handle P.J. Hall one-on-one when Hall is on the offensive end, and can he make him work on the other end? Because one thing that's happened this season is when Clemson's not been at their best, they've won every game, but when they're not at their best, Hall's been on the sideline with foul trouble. He's averaging just 28 minutes per game. Now, that's in part because, he's coming off injuries. Brandon wanted to bring him along slowly, but also, when he's playing 21 points per game in 28 minutes, he's been unstoppable. But he has been saddled by foul trouble, and that's something to watch for. Can B.J. Mack, who is a true offensive threat for South Carolina, 4 of 8 3-pointers against George Washington, can he force P.J. Hall to defend him on the other end and get his heart rate up so he's not as effective on the other end? South Carolina, 8.5-point underdogs, but I think that's the matchup to start with. Hall and Mack. If it's a mismatch and Hall is too quick for Mack on the other end and South Carolina has to dedicate personnel, now we talk about the X factor, Joseph Girard. That's when he comes into play, and that's when we start talking about Michi Johnson for South Carolina if P.J. Hall goes to the bench and Clemson has to dedicate personnel to defending B.J. Mack in the painted area.
All right, Smitty, thanks. We'll let you get settled in there at the arena. Remind folks to follow Smitty on our Twitter at SportsTalkSC, or I guess I should say our X. Follow Smitty on our X at SportsTalkSC.com, and also the post game. You'll hear from the coaches on our website, SportsTalkSC.com. We welcome in Chris Bergen from the Bergie Palace. Good seeing you, my friend, over at Coastal today. And let's turn our attention, before we go to the break, let's turn our attention to your thoughts on what Cliff Ellis had to say today. You probably know Cliff of anybody in the media. You work closer with him because you're with him every game, pregame, postgame. So your take on what happened and what he had to say.
I was surprised that he decided to retire right now, but his explanation made a lot of sense. He wanted to give Benny Moss an opportunity to maybe take this program and move it forward. I was taken aback, though, by his comments, and not because I didn't see them coming. I was just interested to find out how dedicated he is to fixing both NIL and the transfer portal. I've talked to him at length the past couple of years about how it's affected his team. I mean, look over the landscape of college basketball. Coastal has its point guard sitting on the bench at South Carolina right now trying to rehab an injury in Ibrahima Diba. They lost Devontae Jones, one of the outstanding players in the Sun Belt, to Michigan. This past season, they lost 2 of their starters in both Josh Aduje and also Issam Mustafa going to Power 5 or other programs because of money. And Cliff Ellis came out today and basically said, look, I'm retiring from basketball, but I am not retiring from the world. And my mission, and he said that several times today, Phil, my mission is helping Coastal Carolina maneuver through this. And what he was referencing is the current makeup of the NCAA transfer portal and also name, image, and likeness. He begged Congress because it was obvious, Phil, I think you probably got the same sense. He was not talking to those of us just in the room. This press conference was carried via ESPN Plus, and he was hoping to reach out through those viewers to somebody who has the ear of a congressman or the NCAA, and he basically begged Congress to get involved with this. I hope that doesn't happen because I just don't think Congress can fix this problem. They can't fix many things. But I will say I was very interested in what he had to say. We actually have a little clip that we may play right before Coach comes on the air with us live about how he is exactly going to tackle this moving forward. He is going to be an ambassador for Coastal Carolina athletics in a different route. He's been the guy who's led that basketball program 16 plus years, but now he's going to go, and it's not going to be behind the scenes. He made that very obvious. It is going to be out front and vocal because he does not see it as a sustainable model right now with what's going on with the transfer portal nor the NIL. And I think it's something that all of us on the program would agree with. We can't continue going down this path and keep college athletics the way it is.
You nailed it. We're going to play that little clip before he joins us live at 6:35 because it was quite good. We're going to jump to the break, and when we come back, we're going to give you the recruiting report tonight because we've got a lot of information to share with you there. So we want to do that before we get to Coach Ellis and move on into other aspects of the show tonight. So that'll be coming up in just a moment. As we go to the break, remind you that boy, it's beautiful. It is beautiful here at the beach. Come down and watch high school football. 70 degrees on Saturday. No rain. No rain.
Nice.
So get on down here, and then while you're here, go by and see Jimmy Smith, and let Jimmy show you some things that you might want to stay in for the spring or the summer. You're thinking about your vacation. Go over to Paulie's, right at the corner of Litchfield and Paulie's, right at that border. Jimmy's office is right there. Or just give him a call at 843-237-4246, online at pauliesvacationrentals.com. Let Jimmy and the staff work with you to find something that fits your budget and fits your space needs. You might have a small family, or you might have a huge family, and you need a lot of space, need a lot of bedrooms, need a lot of bathrooms, need a big kitchen. They can handle all that for you. 843-237-4246. We're back with the recruiting report. More coming up here on Sports Talk. Be right back. The stars do shine brighter at the beach as some of the best senior high school football players in South Carolina will be on display Saturday in the 76th Annual Touchstone Energy Cooperative Bowl. This is Phil Kornblue. Be sure to join us for our broadcast starting at noon from Doug Shaw Memorial Stadium. We'll have it all from kickoff to postgame, plus the announcement of Mr. Football at halftime. That's the Touchstone Energy Cooperative Bowl this Saturday at noon on the Sports Talk Media Network.
South Carolina's taste buds have spoken, and they're asking for beef. There are more than 7,800 farms raising cattle from pasture to plate in the Palmetto State. So whether it's steaks on the grill before the big game, sirloin medallions plated for date night, or burgers with a family, make sure beef is a part of your playbook this football season. Smoked, grilled, and slow roasted. Find the best way to enjoy your beef at scattle.org. Beef. It's what's for dinner in South Carolina. Funded by the South Carolina Beef Council, part of the Beef Checkoff Program.
I'm attorney Jim Corbett. That's the sound of a big hit on you and your car or truck. I've been an attorney for more than 30 years, helping people who get injured in car wrecks and truck wrecks. If you have serious injuries, call Jim Corbett, 803-765-2968, or email me at jim@jimcorbettattorney.com. That's Corbett. I don't get paid unless I recover for you. Jim Corbett Attorney, for your best recovery from a big hit, 803-765-2968, or jim@jimcorbettattorney.com.
Hi, this is Major Billy Downer, and coming up tonight at 7:30, it's another edition of SC Wow from the Department of Natural Resources on the Sports Talk Media Network.
The lottery is not about getting rich. It's about helping people, and it always has been. The lottery is what helped raise the Great Wall of China, build the roads of Rome, and today in South Carolina, it's what generates millions of dollars each year for scholarships like the SC Hope, Life, and Palmetto Fellows. The South Carolina Education Lottery is investing in you. Visit sceducationlottery.com/betteryou to learn more.
Your home is where your memories live. It's where you laugh and where you love. We understand the importance of the valuables under your roof, tangible and intangible alike. So no matter what's around the corner, we'll be there, offering you and your family the support that's made Farm Bureau Insurance a trusted name for nearly 70 years. You deserve more. You deserve a promise. Learn more at scfbins.com.
Call me, Alex Satterfield, at 803-749-9171 for all of your Midlands insurance needs.
George Bryant here for Tsunami Bar Sports, and some say the fun is in the winning. I say the fun is in the training. And Tsunami Robbie, what do you say?
George, we all know you get more done when you're having fun. This technology is different. It's engaging, but it's also a lot of fun to use.
Hi, this is Phil Kornblue. Be sure to click on the digital ad on SportsTalkSC.com and get 5% off any Tsunami Bar order using promo code BBB5. Don't wait. Order today. time in the recruiting report brought to you by Seawells, and you can dive head first into a Seawells buffet tomorrow. It's going to be big. It always is big at Seawells. 11 to 2 for the daily luncheon buffet. Get over there and enjoy and eat yourself silly. Be like the Romans in those old movies. Remember the old movies when they had the Romans and they would sit back and they'd have some women behind them with the fans made out of feathers. They'd be doing that, and the Roman gods would be eating the grapes and all the beef and all that. And that's what you do at Seawells. You just sit back and find somebody to fan you while you fill up with the great buffet, and it's only $14. It's a lot cheaper than it is being in Rome. And if you need the very best in the catering business, I don't know where I was going with all that, but I went down that road. If you need the very best in the catering business, the folks at Seawells, they answer that call. They'll answer your call at 803-771-7385, online at SeawellsCateringSC.com. So Mario Anderson, the USC running back, transferred from Newberry before last season, proved he could play at the SEC level. Now he wants to get paid. And he and South Carolina, apparently, according to whoever you want to believe and read and listen to, they're at odds over how much. They have not come to that agreement yet. And it was reported first today by Pete Nakos of On3 that he was expected to enter the portal, John. When I see that, I take that as meaning you're going in. Then came reports, West Mitchell, Gamecock Central, that this was not over yet. He had not entered the portal, John. Negotiations continue. So I haven't seen where Anderson has announced anything. So that is still kind of hanging out there. Here we go. This is what it's come down to. It's come down to negotiations for a lot of these situations. In the meantime, offensive lineman Grayson Maines is in the portal. He announced that. That gives the Gamecocks 16 in the portal, John, and 4 planning to be in the draft. Meantime, the Gamecocks are expected to host Arkansas running back Rocket Sanders' official visit this weekend, a source has told 24/7 Sports. USC's remaining very active in the portal, as you might imagine, with official visits. Gamecock Central reported that Pitt transfer defensive tackle DeAndre Jules will make an official on December the 12th. Gamecock Central also reported Coastal Carolina receiver Jared Brown will take an official visit this weekend. And
would be a good get for them. Excuse me, Phil. That would be a good get. Jared Brown is an incredible receiver and in insane speed.
Listen to you using recruiting vocabulary, a good get.
He would be for the Gamecocks, especially trying to fill up their wide receiver room.
I'm proud of you. Maybe we can pass the recruiting mantle over to you one day.
No, sir. No.
Well, if you're going to speak the language, a good get. Be a good get. Another receiver set to visit USC this weekend for Gamecock Central. Louisiana Tech transfer Cyrus Allen. USC target Harvard transfer tight end Tyler Neville, offered by UCLA. He went to Virginia last weekend. He's scheduled to visit USC this weekend per 24/7 Sports. USC offered Indiana transfer receiver Donovan McCulley. He's 6'5", 200. USC offered Ball State transfer tight end Brady Hunt, 6'6", 249. Came in as a quarterback, missed all of this season with a foot injury. He said he might visit USC next weekend. USC offered Michigan State transfer offensive guard Kevin Wigginton, 6'5", 320. They offered San Jose State transfer offensive tackle Fernando Carmona Jr., 6'5", 314. USC is also among the several P5 offers for Vanderbilt transfer receiver Will Shepard. USC's in the top 6 with 2025 receiver Jaden Anderson of Virginia Beach, with Virginia Tech, Tennessee, Maryland, Auburn, and West Virginia. Cardinal Newman running back Cortez Lane was offered by North Carolina A&T. And visiting USC this weekend will be Gerald Kilgore, transfer defensive back from Tennessee Tech, 6 feet 202. He's the brother of the Gamecocks' breakthrough freshman safety Jelon Kilgore. Needless to say, but then why say it, Corn? The two would like to play together, and this is that opportunity. The older brother getting the opportunity to move up with his football career, and he's excited about that. He had 37 tackles, 2.5 tackles for loss, and 5 pass deflections. He thinks he can play at the SEC level. So does Dorian Gray, or they wouldn't have offered him. He is going to visit West Virginia next weekend just to have something to compare. But if everything goes well this weekend, I would think it would be most likely the case that he's going to end up committing to South Carolina to play with his brother. There you go with recruiting for now, but we'll keep checking stuff and pass along anything else that might pop up. The other news of the day, the Panthers announced that they are no longer going to hold training camp at Wofford. I know some see this as a slight at a slight of South Carolina, but others will say this is a trend of NFL teams to hold their training camps at their home facilities right there in their own backyard. Your take?
Well, I think, and I'm looking at Pat on the StreamYard, our video feed, and I think Pat's got a Panthers hat on tonight, and he's got it on backwards. That's pretty much how I feel about them now. I mean, they are doing everything they can to turn their backs on the state of South Carolina. First off, you screw up the situation with the new training center in Rock Hill. That was a debacle, to say the least. Now you say, well, you know what? We're not going to train down at Wofford. I know that's where you would always train, and that's where you started, but we're going to move out of South Carolina as best we can. So just change the name to the Charlotte Panthers, because that's clearly what David Tepper wants.
I'm good with that. Call them the Queen City Panthers, Charlotte Panthers. That's fine with me. I prefer having teams named after cities versus regions, personally. Okay, we'll hit the break. Cliff Ellis coming up when we come back. Don't go away.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
Here is tonight's weather forecast. Clear and cold this evening with a low temperature dipping down to 30. Keep an eye on those pets and those plants. Tomorrow, much like today, plentiful sunshine, a high temperature about 57. And we look ahead, we're warmer this weekend, highs around 70 both Saturday and Sunday, but you can expect some showers to close out your weekend. I'm Kevin Cohen with your On Point local weather.
This is Ian with AccuClean. With the holiday season and gatherings with friends and family quickly approaching, now is the perfect time to get your carpets, rugs, and upholstery cleaned. AccuClean is a veteran-owned and local carpet cleaning company located in the Midlands for over 20 years. Call AccuClean today at 803-957-1202 to make sure your carpets are refreshed this holiday season. Once again, that's AccuClean at 803-957-1202. We hope to see you soon.
With SRN News, I'm Keith Peters reporting Israeli troops are battling Hamas militants in the center of the Gaza Strip's second largest city, Khan Yunis, the military says. The fighting has sent tens of thousands of Palestinians fleeing to the territory's southernmost edge where shelters are overflowing. Khan Yunis is the home of one of Hamas's biggest leaders. The shrinking field of Republican presidential hopefuls are preparing to gather on a debate stage for the fourth time this year. The debate Wednesday at the University of Alabama will be their last meeting before the Iowa caucuses kick off the presidential nominating season next month. 4 candidates will be on stage, but frontrunner Donald Trump will not be among them. The former president has skipped all the debates to avoid giving his trailing rivals more attention. On Wall Street, the Dow by 70 points. More details at srnnews.com.
Hey y'all, my name's Ted from Flight Deck Restaurant. With the holidays approaching, people are looking for places to hold large parties. Flight Deck Restaurant has what you need. We have 4 different rooms that can accommodate groups from 12 all the way to 120 people. As long as you eat dinner with us, Flight Deck does not charge a rental fee for the room. Flight Deck Restaurant can accommodate wedding receptions, rehearsal dinners, Christmas parties, birthday parties, anniversary parties, civic organizations that need to have a regular place to meet. Flight Deck Restaurant is a full-service restaurant and we can provide audio-visual equipment. Please consider Flight Deck Restaurant in Lexington. Thanks y'all and God bless.
I sure like to brag about good local businesses. Franklin Plumbing and Drain Cleaning is a great local biz. Josh and his team stress customer service as their top priority. Franklin Plumbing and Drain Cleaning came out to my house. I had a toilet that wasn't working right, a garbage disposal that died. They came out right on time, told me everything they were going to do, and explained the price of each repair before even bringing in the tools. I knew exactly what I was getting and exactly what it would cost. Their prices are fair. Their team is courteous and professional. Plus, they did a great job fixing what needed fixing in my home. I am very very careful about making any recommendations, and I'm thrilled and confident to suggest you call Franklin Plumbing and Drain Cleaning for any plumbing needs. If it's a repair or to replace something, if it's that tankless water heater that you've always wanted to give you that endless hot water and save you some money. They unclog drain and sewer lines and so much more. Online, you'll find them at franklinplumbing.sc.com or just give Josh and those great folks a phone call, 799-2222. That's 799-2222, and tell them you heard about them from here at The Point.
Dave Ramsey here. Do you want your money to work for you rather than you working for your money? Go see my friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union. They're not a mega bank and have been serving the Midlands since 1936, offering good old-fashioned customer service and free services. They'll look out for your financial well-being. With 14 locations, check them out today at palmettocitizens.org. Federally insured by the NCUA.
Every Friday morning at 9 a.m. on The Point, join me, Chad Jordan, and my co-host Larry Jordan for the Palmetto Real Estate Pros. We'll help you out whether you're looking to buy, sell, or just learn all things real estate every Friday right here at 100.7 The Point.
Have you fallen behind on your taxes and might be facing IRS penalties? Have wage garnishments, levies, or liens? Have unfiled tax returns? You want someone local and qualified. Don't fall for those national spots. Meet with me, Teresa, at Capital City Professional Services, and let me help you through your tax maze. I can help all your tax resolution issues. There are options to get you back on track. Call Capital City Professional Services, 400-8683. That's 400-8683.
Hi, this is Joel Lurie. I'm the host of Health Matters every Monday morning from 9 to 10 right here on 100.7 The Point. Join me as we talk about issues impacting your health and our community. It's Health Matters every Monday at 9 a.m. right here on The Point.
Along with everything else going on today, it's a day to celebrate the coaching career of Cliff Ellis in the state of South Carolina. He impacted two major programs in our state, of course, Clemson and, of course, Coastal Carolina, but also impacted college basketball all over our state and across the country with his other stops at Cumberland and South Alabama and at Auburn. He was a winner every step along the way. And of course, coaching at clinics and speaking and all that. He has spread the word, his gospel of college basketball across the country. He's going to join us live in just a moment. But Chris and I were at the press conference today on the Coastal Carolina campus, and Coach Ellis gave a very eloquent speech. Thanked everybody he could think of, from family to friends to cohorts, et cetera, et cetera. And then he turned really serious. He turned really serious after saying that his plan was to retire at the end of this season anyway, but now was a good time to step aside so he could concentrate on other things. But it wasn't the game itself that drove him out. It's not the desire to win more games, not the hurt from losing games. That didn't drive him out. It's the new outside elements that did. Here is a piece of what he had to say, and then we'll bring him up live. Cliff Ellis.
Now, a huge reason for all this is the transfer portal and NIL. It's on an unsustainable path for intercollegiate athletics. It is. We've lost key players the last 3 years. I'm a teacher of the game, but lately when I teach and the player peaks, somebody comes and takes them. I've faced many challenges in these 50-plus years. And this is the first challenge I've not been able to overcome. I do very much agree, and I want everybody to understand this, that college athletes deserve compensation. Coaches, universities, conferences, the NCAA benefit insanely from the economic success that college athletics has created, and the players rightly deserve some compensation for being the major creators of the success. But there has to be a cap somewhere on all this, and there has to be transparency. As with all unbridled economic development, the possibility for unfair advantage and fraud and underhanded misuse of the intended purpose of the structure exists today. I'm seeing and hearing all kinds of horror stories. I mean, millions and millions of dollars for a quarterback seems insane to me. We have the NFL. We have the NBA. A few years ago, universities giving a t-shirt could invite an investigation. Now several $1 million might get you a quarterback. Come on. I hear of players transferring, understanding they were going to get a certain amount of money, to go in and find out that they didn't get the kind of money they thought they were going to get or were told to get. Now players are suing universities. Players are today, they're suing universities. Where are we going? Where are we going? The past few years, I felt like a general manager, looking at the draft board for available players and realizing if we don't have money in a collective, we will not have much success. Well, right now, we don't have any money. We don't. I will continue to spend the rest of this year and whatever other time it takes needed to help CCU maneuver through this landscape. It is now my mission to explore ideas and methods for addressing the changes that are occurring. I'm going to serve as consultant with the coaching staff and with these players through the end of the year. Carolyn and I will continue to serve the community with our foundation. Our mission is to help at-risk kids on the Grand Strand. Last night, we helped host an event for kids that are at risk. 15 years ago, when us, along with several other people, started this, we raised $8,000. A year ago, we raised $190,000. That's what kind of community we have. Today, and most importantly, I am calling on Congress, the NCAA, and all who have influence in the arena of college athletics to mend the damage created by the sudden and unfettered introduction of the transfer portal and NIL and its funding into college athletics. Case Britain's here. You're with the legislature here. There's state laws. Start working on it. Help us. Help us. Solutions may include some type of cap on player compensation. Certainly transparency in all transactions and on revenue sharing. We need to know what everybody else is doing. Nobody knows what anybody's doing.
All right, comments of Coach Cliff Ellis from earlier today at his press conference. And Chris, he was very passionate about what he was saying. And you could hear that in his voice, that this was something near and dear to his heart, dealing with the issues that have been created by the transfer portal. In particular, you heard him say that the money side of it to him is not the big issue. It's the issue of the transfer portal and losing players that he helped coach and develop over the years.
Oh, absolutely. And I mentioned this earlier, I could go through just the last 3 years alone, the last 3 or 4 years, and say, you know what, I could come up with a Sun Belt all first team with guys like Devontae Jones and Ibrahim Adiba and Joshua Duje and Isam Mustafa. That's just recent names that come to mind who have all left Coastal after being developed by the Coastal program to go on and explore better opportunities for them. And there's nothing wrong with people wanting to improve their lot in life. But what I think Coach Ellis wants to see And he brought this point up several times, was transparency with regards to, all right, fine, you want to pay NIL money? That's fine. Just let us know. What is South Carolina paying? What can Coastal pay? What is Clemson paying? What is North Carolina paying? No one knows. And that was as big a beef with him. And this has been boiling under the surface for a long, long time with him. And I think he just wanted to use today's retirement message to say, look, I may be done coaching basketball, but I am certainly not done attacking what I feel is a wrong in the NCAA that needs to be fixed.
We'll have Coach with us momentarily. I gave Pat the wrong number. Sorry about that, Pat. The correct number is now on the sheet. Jeez. I was just trying to make it through 1 hour without a mistake. I almost made it, but
good
not
news
quite.
is Coach Combs is ready. He'll be ready to join us.
Coach Combs is ready, and now we have Coach Ellis standing by as well.
Well, tell Coach Combs we'll call him back in about 20 minutes. No sense him holding on. But we do have Cliff Ellis with us now. And, Coach, it's great to have you with us. We just played some of your comments from today, the ones, those comments in particular about what you're going to be doing related to NIL and the transfer portal. But before all that, just your thoughts now on this day, the day after your 78th birthday, and knowing that your coaching days are over.
Well, it's surreal, but at the same point in time, you have to look at, what the, where you are in life. I turned 78 yesterday. Selfishly, I could have continued and tried to coach a few more games and win a few more games, but that's what I don't need to do, and I don't need to prolong this. I wanted to make sure that my coaches had a chance to move forward and take over this situation and show what they can do. And then it gives me a chance to kind of, focus on my mission right now, which is to try to get a voice into this transfer portal and NIL business. I mean, it's just, anyway, it was just time. I feel it was just time. It hit me a couple of weeks ago, and it's been festering ever since. And it was just time. And it's hard to explain that because I've had people tell me that when the time comes, you will know it. And I said, well, heck, I was 72 years old. I felt it. Most people say when you're 65, well, heck, my goodness alive, I just keep going and keep going. And I can tell you 2 summers ago, no. But, something happened this summer. Well, when the transfer portal came along in the NIL, the first year I said, I'll overcome it. We started losing good players. And, you start losing Sun Belt Conference Player of the Year and this stuff. And you start teaching and they peak and then they leave you. And you say, well, Cliff, you're no longer a teacher. You're a general manager. You're, what's on the board? What's on the draft board here? So, it just wasn't me. That's just not the way that I've coached. And all the changes, the 3-point shot, the shot clock, recruiting, all that. But this one is one that I just am concerned about the game. I'm concerned about college athletics. And something's got to change. Period.
Do you think people up the chain of command, and you were reaching out to politicians, you were reaching out to Congress, you mentioned a legislator who was in the audience today. I mean, they got a lot of big fish to fry. Is there an opening there for them to look at this and address it?
Well, I think for us to check, as I said today, we're on an unsustainable path for intercollegiate athletics. Everybody loves college athletics. They love their team. They love the game. They love this. But I'm telling you, the response I get, fans are becoming less interested. The game is weakening. Kids can be at 2 or 3 schools. It's just something has to be done. And if Congress, because that's where you can get things done, and the NCAA and whomever doesn't come up with something, I think, this is my opinion, I think the game is going to be ruined. Certainly it'll stay there, but it's going to be where people, will rather watch something else. And I don't want to see that, and I'm for, listen, I'm for players getting compensation. I want to make sure that that is understood with regards to this, because they are the main faction in the reason for all the success. When you take the fact that coaches are getting all the money that they get in universities, the NCAA, they're benefiting from this economic success that's really been created by the players that are doing so well, and they deserve something. But if we don't have a cap somewhere on all this, and has to be transparency. Nobody, Phil, knows what anybody's doing. Nobody knows what X school is doing. And, it used to be a few years ago, a university giving a T-shirt could invite an investigation. I'll never forget this. I will never forget this. I was in my office at Clemson University. There was a lightning storm outside the school. My wife was there, and I had a young man who was a player, and there's no way we were going to let him go. My wife gave him a ride 3 blocks to the dorm. The next page next day in the Charleston Post and Courier, headlines: wife gives ride to a player. A few years ago, a university giving a T-shirt could invite an investigation. Now, several $1 million would get you. Come on. I mean, give me a break. These are horror stories. You got players that are transferred because they're told they're going to get a certain amount of cash. There's no signed agreement. Hey, we're going to give you $500,000. I know of a story where a kid got $250,000 for his first 6 months. They tell me, and he played, and at the end of 6 months, he played, and that was his last year. He was a grad transfer, and he wanted his other $250,000. He said, "Well, we said $500,000 for the year, but you only played 6 months." Now he's suing the university. These are horror stories. Come on, if we don't get something around this, it's going to ruin the game. So, anyway, I'm going to spend the rest of this year and whatever time I have to help CCU maneuver it. Whatever. Clemson. It's just something's got to be done, and I feel it's time that action take, and it's going to take Congress. It's going to take the NCAA. It's going to take all who can influence the arena of college athletics to mend the damage created by the sudden and unfettered introduction of the transfer portal and NIL funding into college athletics. Solutions have got to come up, and even our state government, Case Burton, who was a legislator,
all-time NCAA Division I wins, over 800 wins there. You won a regular season championship at all 4 of your schools that you coached at in Division I. You went to the tournament at all 4 schools. You were the number 1 seed when you were at Auburn. You won an ACC regular season championship at Clemson, which was unheard of at the time and still is pretty much, though they might do it this year. So when you reflect on your coaching career, what are you most proud of?
Wow, all of it. I think, without question, winning an ACC championship at Clemson Nobody ever thought that was going to happen. I mean, my gosh. I mean, I had people tell me, don't you take that job. It's a death trap. And my gosh, but if you get Eldon Campbell and you get Dale Davis and you get people like Horace Grant, you get people like Sharon Wright, Chris Whitney, you're going to win some games. And we were able to do that. The same thing in Auburn. I like the fact that I pioneered the Sun Belt Conference, even being started. I was one of, a few people that started that league. And it exists today because of several of us that got together and decided to put a conference together, and we were on a mission. I'm proud of the fact that, I love the fact that Coastal Carolina, that we played Clemson twice, and I coached at those schools, South Alabama and go to West Virginia. This is unbelievable now. Think of this. Bob Huggins, West Virginia. Pretty good, right? Pretty good, right? Set the record for most points scored. 109 points, a few years, 3 or 4 years. LSU beat them twice. At Coastal Carolina, I love that. but I'm a builder, and this transfer portal in NIL, if you give me a shot at it, you may have the odds. But, if you got $2 million and I got zero, I can't go to a sword fight with a butter knife, and we just don't have enough. We just don't have the money. We don't have the money. We don't have the money. It's not coaching fault. It's not. I mean, it's just the way it is. And so I'm just. It's just time. It's just time for me to reflect. Let's just see what develops here in time. I'm not going to ride off in the sunset and just go play golf and do all that. I'll figure something out. But I'm. It's just time here.
Cliff Ellis announcing his retirement as head men's basketball coach at Coastal Carolina earlier today, with us here tonight on Sports Talk. And Coach, somewhat of a similar question to what Phil asked you in terms of memories that you've been able to foster over your years in coaching. The last couple of weeks, I've noticed a lot of your colleagues coming up to you. As a matter of fact, we were doing a pregame interview when Pat Kelsey came by and wanted to jump on and talk about the influence you have given to him. The other night, Greg Marshall came over to talk to you, and Gene Cady was at the press conference today. When you see your peers and colleagues in the coaching profession come up to you, what sort of message does that send to you?
Just how great the game has been. And, you can compete against these guys, but there's such a bond. And then when you have someone that gives you the respect and you give them the respect and it just connects, it's just a beautiful thing. I mean, still today, Coach K, Bobby Crimmins, Dave Odom, Jim Larinaga, the guys from the old, we still connect. We talk. I mean, I talked to Mike this week. I talked to Bobby this week. They all check. All were checking on me. Tubby Smith calling because, we all talk, and they knew what was coming. We all talk about it. How you doing? What you think? How you liking retirement? And I trust them. And just that bond, I will tell you, that bond during the ACC days, oh, man, we battled unbelievable. But we all, when the season was over, we all would get together at the ACC meetings in Myrtle Beach. We'd go out, we'd go out to dinner. There's one night that we all went out to 2001 in Myrtle Beach. And I'll just show you, and this was a long time ago, but Crimmins says, Ellis is singing tonight. And I said, no way, I'm not doing it. We had everybody but Dean there. And I said, all right, there's only one way that we're going to do this. We only one way. If I get up there, I'm not making a fool of myself by myself. You're going to get up there. Those guys got up there, and they were in my background singing that. If you don't think that wasn't something, Mike Krzyzewski, Jim Valvano, Gary Williams, Dave Odom, Terry Holland, Pat Kennedy. Dean was the only guy that wasn't there. But you don't see that anymore. You just don't see it. And all those guys that you mentioned, they're just great friends, and the camaraderie that is there, I just love it. And I've got the same in Big South. I just heard from Greg Nybert just a little bit a while ago, those days. And I've heard from all of a sudden, it's just amazing. And I'm glad that I made that impact. Certainly something was beneficial to them for them to reach out like that. And then, if you, my trinity in life is three things: love, care, and serve. If you love and family, friends, the game, if you care about your friends, family, game, if you serve your game, your family, what a great life. And that's what I've tried to live by. And I haven't lived it to the fullest, I can tell you. I mean, I've had my weaknesses, but that's been my trinity, and that's what I've tried to live by. And hopefully it's reflected on all the people that I've come by, and it's just been a great journey. And it's time for the next step. I'm not stopping. I can tell you that. I don't know what's going to happen, but something's going to happen.
Let me ask you this. We got about 30 seconds. So do you sit in the stands next to your wife and watch her with the officials?
I will be up. No. We will be. My office looks down on the floor. I will be there. I'll have my phone with me. If the coaches, I will be at practice tomorrow. Will not be running practice. I will be there. I want those players and coaches to know that I'm here. If you need me, call me. I'll be upstairs, but I'm not interfering.
But don't you want to sit with the wife and holler at the officials?
God, she's something else now. Oh, my Lord. I told her, I said, I'm trying to be nice to these guys. You're killing me.
We have hit the top. We congratulate you on everything. Thanks for being with us. We'll be right back. Cliff Ellis.
We do what's supposed to happen here. Thank you for pushing the button. I thank you. Programming thanks you. America thanks you.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
From the Bart Fireside Studio, the solution for keeping you warm this winter.
This is 107 The Point.
Breaking news this hour from townhall.com. I'm Keith Peters reporting. There's been a campus shooting at the University of Nevada, Las Vegas. Correspondent Mike Kempen reports.
Police say a suspect has been found dead as officers responded to an active shooter on the UNLV campus. Investigators say there are multiple reports of injuries. The university says on X, formerly Twitter, the shooter was at Beam Hall, home of UNLV's Lee Business School, and that police were also investigating reports of more shots being fired at the Student Union, which is nearby. The school also wrote, "This is not a test," saying run, hide, fight. Students were urged to shelter in place because of the active investigation that was ongoing. I'm Mike Kempen.
3 people are now reported dead in that shooting and a 4th critically wounded. Meanwhile, Democrats have failed to pass a ban on assault weapons. Bob Agnew reports.
The U.S. broke the record for the most mass shootings in a single year last weekend, and Democrats sought to take advantage through the largely symbolic use of unanimous consent to pass a controversial assault weapons ban. It takes only one senator to defeat such an effort. In this case, Republican John Barrasso, who accused Democrats of trying to separate Americans from their freedoms. Quote, Americans have a constitutional right to own a firearm. Every day, people across Wyoming responsibly use their Second Amendment rights to keep and bear arms. Bob Agnew, Capitol Hill.
The shrinking field of Republican presidential hopefuls are preparing to gather on a debate stage for the 4th time this year. The debate tonight at the University of Alabama will be their last meeting before the Iowa caucuses kick off the presidential nominating season next month. 4 candidates will be on stage, but frontrunner Donald Trump will not be among them. The former president skipped all the debates to avoid giving his trailing rivals more attention. On Wall Street, the Dow down by 70 points. More at townhall.com.
Relief factor, pain relief, it's natural pain relief that works, and pain relief that attacks the source of the pain. That's the experience of tens of thousands of Americans who are taking Relief Factor right now. See their incredible video endorsements at relieffactor.com and then order your 3-week quick starter pack for just $19.95. That's less than $1 a day. Find out if it can work for you like it works for me by ordering your 3-week quick starter pack today. relieffactor.com, relieffactor.com. Be the next success story.
Stop overpaying for wireless. There is a better way. Pure Talk saves the average family about $1,000 a year on the most dependable 5G network in the U.S. You can get unlimited talk, text, and plenty of high-speed data for just $30 a month. If you're ready to cut your wireless bill in half, dial pound 250 and say keyword spend less, and you'll save an additional 50% off your first month. Again, dial pound 250 and say spend less, and make the switch to Pure Talk today.
Sexual violence enacted by Hamas-led terrorists have been brought to light. The latest from the Media Line's Felice Friedson.
The media front in the war between Israel and the Iranian proxy Hamas has taken a turn after the terrorist organization's sadistic use of sexual torture became known. Atrocities carried out by Hamas during the October 7th invasion of Israeli border communities near Gaza was the initial attention getter. People learned of the deaths of more than 1,200 Jews and others. That soon gave way to a global focus on humanitarian aid for the Palestinians. But when torture and the weaponization of deviant sexual torture became known, interest around the globe peaked in the horror of the disclosures. Reported were starvation, beatings, rape, burning identifications into children's arms with hot exhaust pipes. I'm Felice Friedson, Town Hall News, Jerusalem.
News and analysis at themedialine.org and townhall.com. I'm Keith Peters.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
Here is tonight's weather forecast. Clear and cold this evening with a low temperature dipping down to 30. Keep an eye on those pets and those plants. Tomorrow, much like today, plentiful sunshine, a high temperature about 57. And we look ahead, we're warmer this weekend, highs around 70 both Saturday and Sunday, but you can expect some showers to close out your weekend. I'm Kevin Cohn with your On Point local weather.
As a kid, you dreamed of being a firefighter one day. Now, the opportunity is yours. Answer the sound of sirens. Live your dream. Become a part of a team, a family. Visit scvolunteerfire.org to find out more.
Welcome back to Sports Talk on the Sports Talk Media Network. You can reach the guys with the South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number, 888-898-2525. That's 888-898-2525. Now back to Phil, Chris, and Pat with the second hour of Sports Talk on the Sports Talk Media Network.
Welcome back, everybody. Sports Talk Media Network. On this Wednesday night, we've had a great mix of football and basketball tonight here on the program, and we're going to continue with more basketball talk here in this hour of the program, this half hour of the program. Reminder, SC Wild comes up at the bottom of the hour. Coach Billy Downer, Major Billy Downer. I got coaches on my mind. Major Billy Downer will be with us, and he'll be talking about waterfowl season. He'll have a special guest. But basketball tonight, of course, USC at Clemson. On the men's side, the USC women are hosting Morgan State tonight. And Wofford is playing at Gardner-Webb, and Florida A&M is playing at Presbyterian. And we've got Wake Forest is leading Rutgers 39-33. As we get underway with some college basketball, that USC game against Clemson on the ACC network will tip off at 8 o'clock. Here on Wednesday nights during the basketball season, it's our pleasure to do a little hooping and hollering with Coach John Combs, athletics director over at Spring Valley and the director of the South Carolina Basketball Coaches Association. Coach Combs, good evening, sir. How are you?
I'm doing great, Phil. How are you doing tonight?
Man, we're talking a lot of hoops. You got to like that, huh?
Oh, it was great. Your interview with Coach Ellis was fantastic. Thank you for bringing that. He certainly has had a major impact on South Carolina basketball at many different levels. I wonder how many coaches have got as many Division I wins in South Carolina as him. There's too many people who've got more than he does. I mean, he's a legend here for sure.
Absolutely. I want to ask you about that as a former high school coach in South Carolina for many, many years and dealing with the college coaches in the state. What kind of relationship have you or did you find exists between high school coaches in the state and the college coaches across the state in general?
Well, every college program is very different. Some are more active than others. Coach Ellis always made his staff available to us when we had coaching clinics and different things. Coach Lamont Paris has been good, and Coach Brad Brownell from Clemson's also been good. I mean, I think college coaches recognize there's a lot of good talent in this state, so I think it's been really good.
Well, we've kind of hit that part of the high school basketball season. We're just kind of getting underway, and we're coming up on holiday tournaments all across the country. And with that in mind, right in your backyard, our backyard in Columbia, we got one of the big ones nationally, the annual Bash, taking place in the next couple of days over at Ridgeview High School. And we have Coach Brian Rosefield from Ridgeview joining us as well, the AD over there. So I thought you two guys could, as they say, chop it up about high school basketball and high school basketball tournaments for a couple of minutes. Brian, how are you?
Doing fantastic. Glad to be on. I owe John Combs a lot. Y'all realize that he hired me here to Ridgeview many, many, many years ago. So, again, publicly, thank you, John Combs.
Well, I now owe you a lot after those nice words for sure. I owe you a lot because you did a great job helping us, get things going there at Ridgeview High School, and always has done a phenomenal job growing and creating the Bash to what it is today.
Brian, Brian, the Bash is back, and it actually starts tomorrow. So things start to cook at your place tomorrow, December 7th through the 9th. And this has become a huge event. You're bringing in some outstanding teams from all across the country. As I look at the roster of teams, St. Francis of Texas, Oak Hill Academy, Canyon International Academy out in Arizona, not to mention some of the local schools, Blythewood, Ridgeview, etc. How do you feel about the field this year? How excited are you that the Bash is back for another year?
Phil, we're super excited, and I know we were talking a little bit last night, and just to keep pumping up Coach Combs, the vision that he and Coach Gordon had. Combs, do you remember how many years ago? Was it 15 years ago now? Y'all started doing these weekend shootouts. Do you remember?
It's a long time ago. It was probably 08, 09, 10, somewhere right around there.
Yeah. So for them to lay the groundwork, and then for Bojangles to jump on 11 years ago, and for 7 years we had it as the Bojangles Bash, but now as just the Bash. I don't want to say just the Bash, Phil, but you rattled off a lot of those teams that are coming in from around the country. It was that work that was started many, many years ago that has these teams wanting to come. And you mentioned St. Francis out of Texas. They have a top 40 kid, Nigel Walls, that people really want to see. They'll be here 3 nights. They reached out to us. Like, that's one of those that we have just done a great job of creating great experiences for players, coaches, and fans. And Coach Baber reached out and said, hey, we need to play an event. We've seen it online. We want to come. It looks awesome. And again, Phil, you just rattled off a lot of those teams that are coming. And actually right now up at the gym, we have Long Island Lutheran right now finishing up their practice. So a top 5 team. I think they're number 2 in the country right now. It is loaded with talent. 8 of the top 115 players are on that team, I think. So again, just whatever, what we've been able to, yeah, exactly. Yeah. Joe Pollock, who does a great job of helping us out here, he saw the team walk in. He said, good. He said, Brian, that's the tallest team I've ever seen walk through the gym here. I said, I agree with you. It's a legitimate number 2 team in the country right now, and led by Coach Buck. But yeah, it's the full schedule is at thebashhoops.com. All the list of players to watch are again at thebashhoops.com. Thursday, Friday, Saturday here at Ridgeview. It's an event, as you said, these holiday tournaments that are now tipping off. It's an event that really people just, in my opinion, don't want to miss.
Coach Combs, these holiday tournaments, and of course, I guess we have to go back to the beach ball down here at SportsTalkSC that Coach D'Antoni started way back when with the folks down here at the beach. That was sort of the flashpoint, I think, for these kind of events all around the country and around South Carolina. And as you two are both coaches, ADs in our state, what level of pride do you have in that our state's sort of been a leader in putting these tournaments together and having great success? Of course, we've got the Chick-fil-A Classic coming up in Columbia, which is huge. A tournament up in Rock Hill, I believe, which is huge. And why South Carolina, Coach Combs? Why do you think this state in particular has been successful with these events?
Well, I mean, Phil, we've just been very fortunate. People here like basketball. Matter of fact, they love basketball. And it's events, when South Carolina was good, and Clemson's been good at times, but you have events even like the Nike Peach Jam, probably the premier AAU event. But the Beach Ball Classic, it's when you think of holiday tournaments, I mean, that's the best. I mean, that's the one that started it all. I would put I call it a small state against any state in the country when it comes to high-level high school basketball tournaments and showcases. When we first started doing the bash and different things, Brian, we he would tell you, we may have had to reach out and kind of, I don't want to say beg people, but really entice people to come to these type of events. But now people are reaching out to him. People are wanting to come to this as a destination where you're going to play, really good teams. And I'll tell you one thing that really sets, the beach ball, the Chick-fil-A Classic, and the bash apart is the environment at the games. The environment at the games, sometimes when you watch ESPN, they'll have two high-level teams. The gym will be half empty. These type of events, they're not. It's a great environment in there. What also helps us is we have really good high school basketball good teams in our state. So we're pitting the best in South Carolina against the best from all over the country, and very competitive. And in many cases, sometimes our teams win those games.
Mm-hmm. John Combs and Brian Rosefield with us here tonight on Sports Talk, talking some high school hoops as we get ready for the bash at Ridgeview High School, getting set to start tomorrow. And guys, either one of you can jump in on this, but is this one of the rare occasions where Oak Hill Academy is not the premier star attraction? Because you were talking earlier about how good Long Island Lutheran is. Oak Hill doesn't normally play second fiddle to anybody. Are they in this tournament, though?
Well, I'll jump in on that one, and I will tell you, right now, Long Island Lutheran is ranked higher. But you look at obviously who the head coach now is at Oak Hill Academy, and Yerrick Stoneman, who was here for 6 years, did just a phenomenal job. They are still Oak Hill, and right now they might not be highly ranked as the Long Island Lutheran, but they are loaded. I was actually up there a few weeks ago watching them play, and I tell you what. They have some kids that can really shoot it. Kid going to Michigan, kids going to TCU, kid going to Vanderbilt. That's another roster. They're still the Oak Hill of old, and excited for our guy Yerrick Stoneman and what he's doing up there.
Yeah, I think it's pretty funny. I was going to say, I think it's pretty funny that they talk about they're not as highly ranked. I think they're still 10th in the country in some polls. I mean, that is outstanding. I mean, if you were to ask the common high school basketball fan, most people can still recognize Oak Hill Academy. Mm-hmm. And, they're still going to be one of the major, if not major draws, even though they might not be the highest ranked. I mean, we're talking about you're talking about nationally ranked teams, multiple teams in one event. That's tremendous.
Yeah, down year for Oak Hill is finishing in the top 10 nationally. Coach Combs, I've always wondered this from a high school basketball coach's perspective. How difficult is this time of year when you may have had your football team carry several of your players deep into the playoffs and then you finally get them back? How difficult is that sort of to assimilate? Because my guess is if you have football players who also play basketball, they're several of your top athletes. So how much time does it take to work them back into a typical rotation for you this year, last year, on down the road, whatever the case may be?
No 2 years are the same. I mean, I've had years, and this, first of all, it's extremely difficult. I mean, I've had 1 year where I was fortunate when we were at Ridgeview. I had one football player played in the North-South game, one playing in the Shrine Bowl, and they both had to report on the same day when we were playing Irmo High School, and we ended up getting that day we got throttled by 40 because we were missing those two guys. We had Brian Quick, when we're playing in the NFL, and Brandon King. And second time we played them, we actually beat them when they were number one in the state. So every team is very different in how they handle that, and every kid is very different. It's certainly not easy. I know Dutch Fork will be getting a player or two back, coming up. So when it comes to time for region play, they'll be okay. Gaffney had a lot of football players back in the day. They ended up being okay when they had their good little run with Sidney Rice and a lot of them. So it just takes a little bit of time this time of year.
Gentlemen, we want to thank you. Brian, good luck with the bash. Any tickets available or everything sold out?
Tickets are still available. I've been telling people the best deal in town to me is the 3-day general admission package. All the VIPs are sold out, unfortunately. But Phil, if you come, Chris, even you, we'll get you in the hospitality room. But
thank you.
We still have some. We still have some general admission passes available, and we will be selling them at the door as long as they're available. But we really want fans to go ahead, get those tickets at thebashhoops.com. You'll save a little bit of money too, getting them online as well.
Well, listen, you guys have a great weekend watching the hoops. We're down here watching high school all-star football. Coach Combs, thank you, sir. We'll talk with you again next week, hooping and hollering. And Brian, anytime you want to join in to talk some hoops with Coach Combs, you're certainly welcome to.
All right. Well, don't say that twice. I appreciate it, guys. Thank y'all for talking about the bash.
Hey, thank y'all very much.
Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you, John. Thank you, Brian. There you go. High school basketball
it pays
hoops.
to know people. It pays to know people. We can be VIPs. Even though neither one of us is a very important person, but they think we are.
But you know both of these guys from your USC towel carrying days, didn't you?
No, I don't remember them from there, but in a former life, when I had a show here in Florence, I would always get those guys on to preview the bash because normally there was a PD area team involved in the tournament. So I wanted to give them a little plug, and whomever it was, South Florence, Wilson, Hartsville, whatever the case may be. So yeah, those are two really, really good guys, and a credit to high school basketball here in our state. And they're right. I'm not sure we devote enough attention to how good high school basketball is here in South Carolina.
And Chris, thank you in advance for allowing me to use your pass that you're going to get for this tournament. And somebody living locally, I would love to go see that.
Go enjoy,
there you
my
go.
friend. There we go.
There you go. All right, we're going to run to the break, and then Scott Early will join us on the other side. And then following that, SC Wild is coming up. Want to mention the passing of former Clemson baseball great Doug Kingsmore. Passed away today. Mr. Kingsmore, the stadium named after him up at Clemson. And the Gamecocks lost, their number one fan passed away. Gamecock Jesus. Yeah. Sorry to hear about that. Yeah. We'll be back after this break.
Touchstone Energy cooperative members save more on electricity, and members save more on insurance, groceries, healthcare, restaurants, travel, concerts, and sporting events through Co-op Connections. Touchstone Energy is an alliance of the member-owned electric cooperatives, and as a member, the power is yours. Experience the power of co-op membership with Touchstone Energy and find out how much you can save on electricity and a whole lot more at touchstoneenergy.com.
Farm Bureau Insurance's agricultural roots and ties to South Carolina farmers have shaped the company's culture and work ethic, providing a unique customer experience. Customers are treated like people, not policies. Now, while other insurance companies may have a one-size-fits-all approach to handling customers, we believe you need to be valued and treated right. Our claims professionals work until the job is done, and our agents still believe in the commitment that comes with a handshake. Call Buddy Bridges in Clinton and Lawrence at 864-923-2174 for all of your auto, home, and life insurance needs.
Hi, this is Major Billy Downer, and coming up tonight at 7:30, it's another edition of SC Wild from the Department of Natural Resources on the Sports Talk Media Network.
You've put in the work for your education. The extra early, extra late, extra work. That's because you understand education opens doors to better pay, better opportunities, and a better you. Being educated about playing the lottery is no different. It helps you be a better player. One who knows when to play and when to take a rain check. The lottery's a game, so let's keep it fun. Learn more at sceducationlottery.com/betteryou.
Call Lawyer Lisa. Experience the difference with Lawyer Lisa.
Hi, this is Lisa Hosteller-Brown. Do you know the difference between a revocable trust and an irrevocable trust? The difference could easily save you hundreds of thousands of dollars in long-term care costs. Visit lawyerlisa.com to schedule a consultation today.
Call Lawyer Lisa. Experience the difference with Lawyer Lisa.
7511 St. Andrews Road, Irmo, South Carolina.
Daddy, you need a trust.
Hi, this is Billy Downer from the South Carolina Department of Natural Resources. Are you looking for a safe place to shoot your rifle or handgun? Did you know that the South Carolina Department of Natural Resources operates 4 manned ranges across the state in Pickens County, Spartanburg County, Richland County, and Charleston County? For more information on our public ranges, visit dnr.sc.gov/shooting.
Avoiding excess financial stress from the holidays doesn't take a Christmas miracle. All it takes is a Christmas loan from Founders Federal Credit Union. Our Christmas loan is designed to ease your Yuletide expenses so you can focus on what matters most, spreading joy and love. With our great rates, flexible repayment options, and outstanding service, you'll be ready for whatever the holidays might throw your way. So instead of putting that unexpected sleigh repair on next year's wish list, visit foundersfcu.com/Christmas loan to unwrap your own magic this Christmas. Relax with Founders Federal Credit Union. Terms and conditions apply. Federally insured by NCUA. Membership qualification required.
The stars do shine brighter at the beach as some of the best senior high school football players in South Carolina will be on display Saturday in the 76th annual Touchstone Energy Cooperative Bowl. This is Phil Kornblue. Be sure to join us for our broadcast starting at noon from Doug Shaw Memorial Stadium. We'll have it all from kickoff to postgame, plus the announcement of Mr. Football at halftime. That's the Touchstone Energy Cooperative Bowl this Saturday at noon on the Sports Talk Media Network.
Okay, Scott, early in just a second, should mention that USC cornerback O'Donnell Fortune apparently plans to return to school after reaching a financial agreement with the Garnet Trust. So they found a number to agree on, and he'll be returning to South Carolina, allegedly, for next season. Let's welcome in Scott Early, the director. Oh, we don't have him. We'll get to Coach Early in just a second. We'll have Coach Early with us here in just a moment, and then SC Wild at the bottom of the hour with Major Billy Downer. So a couple of other notes to mention while we've got a second. That is Florida State receiver Johnny Wilson, the big tall guy, is entering the NFL draft. And the Belmont Stakes will be the Saratoga Stakes, I guess, for a year. You know, they're doing a lot of work at Belmont. They're moving the Belmont Stakes to Saratoga, the prize now up to $2 million. The race will be shortened. You know, it's always been the longest race of the Triple Crown. All right. Let's go to Coach Early. Got about 5 minutes before the bottom of the hour. Welcome, Coach. How are you, sir?
I'm great, Phil. How about y'all?
We're terrific. Thank you for joining us. I know you're in the middle of dinner and meetings and all of that, but I wanted to have you on very quickly because, unfortunately, I had to go over to Cliff Ellis today, but you guys are having a very important press conference at the Touchstone Energy Bowl practices today. Fill us in on what y'all were talking about.
Well, Phil, the Cliff Ellis thing is what I'd like to say first. I think that we had an opportunity to really reach way out there, and I love Coach Ellis, but I think our coverage got split a little bit. But we had a great press conference today. We had Adam Piper, myself, Ian. We had the chief of police from Myrtle Beach. We had some very powerful dignitaries. We had a great press conference, and when I first started this Coaches versus Opioids, I was just trying to make a splash and try to do something that, I feel like being in this new role, my job is to do everything I can for the coaches and the kids in the state of South Carolina. What better way to get the word out than through coaches? Because, I know you and a lot of us old school guys, our JV basketball coach, our football coach, or or our volleyball coach, or our swim coach probably made a bigger impact in our life than our parents did, because, you know, it takes a big commitment to be an athlete these days. And I thought that was a way to get the message out. And I thought it was a way for me to come in a different role and make a difference. And I never knew it was going to have this much impact, but it's been wonderful. The day was awesome. I know we lost some cameras because of Cliff retiring, but I hope this story will grow, because it's one of them that might make you shed a tear.
Well, in our final 2 minutes, real quick, the message that you're trying to get out to high school students, young people, athletes, what is the message coming from the press conference?
Well, I mean, I think you know, I'm like everybody else. I know the world's stirred up right now in a mess, but, you know, this is probably more important than sending money to Ukraine. The silent killer is teenage athletes that think they're taking an Adderall and it says 31, and they're taking an opioid that says 13. And this program actually factually, data-wise, backs up that education is 90% of the cure. So what better way do we have in society to use high school athletics, which is the only pure thing left in the world today, to get the message out? So I'm not going to call out communities, or because that would be against some HIPAA law or whatever. But, you know, I've had people call and say, hey, can I get more? Can you send me more? Can you? And this, you know, people don't like to talk about it, but the Coaches Association stand fully by. And I just happened to get lucky. I flew to Texas, try to learn what the best do. Met Adam Piper, met Alan Wilson, talked to some legislators, and in year one we beat everybody in the country. And you know how I beat it for, you know how much I like to be first. But I think that if you give us some time, we can put South Carolina on the national stage for a really good cause that people don't want to talk about.
Well, it is a great
and
cause.
I'm just keeping it real. I know you wanted me to make you laugh and do whatever, but this is pretty important. And I think the best way to it's like Billy Graham says, the best way to get the message out is through your coaches.
Yep. You guys are doing a great job. Yep. Keep it up. We'll talk more with you about that probably at the ball game on Saturday or tomorrow night when we see you, or Friday. Thank you, Coach. We got to go to the bottom of the hour break, and we'll be back.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
Here is tonight's weather forecast. Clear and cold this evening with a low temperature dipping down to 30. Keep an eye on those pets and those plants. Tomorrow, much like today, plentiful sunshine, a high temperature about 57. And we look ahead, we're warmer this weekend, highs around 70 both Saturday and Sunday, but you can expect some showers to close out your weekend. I'm Kevin Cohen with your On Point local weather.
And now the sounds of football from Mellow Mushroom Pizza Bakers. Enjoy the taste of football too, with hand-tossed pies, hoagies, wings, meatballs, hot pretzels, and over 100 beers from around the world. Mellow Mushroom in the Vista and on Sunset in Lexington.
With SRN News, I'm Keith Peters reporting 3 people were fatally shot Wednesday and a 4th person was critically wounded in an attack on the University of Nevada, Las Vegas campus. The suspected shooter also was found dead. The attack just before noon sent police swarming onto the campus, which is just a couple of miles from the world-famous Las Vegas Strip, while students barricaded themselves in classrooms. Authorities gave the all-clear about 40 minutes after the first report of an active shooter. The shrinking field of Republican presidential hopefuls are preparing to gather on a debate stage for the 4th time this year. The debate tonight at the University of Alabama will be their last meeting before the Iowa caucuses kick off the presidential nominating season next month. On Wall Street, the Dow down by 70 points. The Nasdaq dropped 83. The S&P 500 lower by 17. This is SRN News.
Ho, ho, ho. 'Tis the season to shop where Santa always shops. That's at Shooter's Choice, Santa's first stop. Have you been naughty or nice? Shooter's Choice has been awesome with their brand new, huge showroom to make your Christmas shopping a great experience. A massive space of firearms, ammo, and accessories to choose from. Benelli, SIG, Glock, Colt, Henry rifles, Bergero rifles, Franke, Stoger. I mean, come on. You have every major brand to choose from at Shooter's Choice. And to make it a simple job, let the pros at Shooter's Choice help you with Christmas selections. You just can't decide. Well, no problem. Gift cards are the answer. They always make shopping easy. Santa's marking down prices on new items up to Christmas Eve, and along with the daily and weekly specials, well, you will not be disappointed. Fill your Christmas wish list, save hundreds of dollars. If your sleigh can't make it to Sunset Boulevard in West Columbia, shop online at ShootersChoiceSC.com and have it shipped down your chimney, or at least to your front door. Merry Christmas from Shooter's Choice. Your Christmas shopping spree starts with your first choice, your best choice. Make it Shooter's Choice.
Hi, I'm Karen Pickard. And I'm Katie Griner. Every Tuesday at 8:30 to 9 a.m., we'll be talking about issues that concern seniors and their families.
So join us right here on The Point Radio for the Positive Points on Aging, brought to you by Oakley Village of Lexington.
Hi, I'm Glenn Matthews.
And I'm Melanie Matthews.
And we are the third generation owners of Modern Exterminating Company.
In a time when corporate consolidation, high-pressure door knockers, and inexperienced startups are becoming the norm, isn't it nice to have an experienced, local, family-owned company that you can count on since 1955?
Modern Exterminating has been the local, independent industry leader in the pest control business for the last 67 years. Experience the local, family-owned difference for yourself at 803-765-2315 or pestfreesc.com.
Hey, honey, I know you're taking some meds for cholesterol. I was reading that if you're on these medicines, you should also be taking some CoQ10.
Actually, our pharmacist mentioned that to me already. He called me the other day, and we went through each of our medications together.
Really? He called you?
Yeah, he asked if I was having any side effects, recommended supplements that could help me, and let me know the risk of mixing certain drugs.
Wow. I'm happy to know that True Pharmacy is thinking about us.
True Pharmacy, 1628 Charleston Highway, 3217 Divine Street, or visit TrueRxSC.com.
Game day, game day, game day. Be ready for game day with the monsters of the Mellow Mushroom Gridiron. Get to the line of Shroomage. Take the snap and order all your Mellow favorites, like fresh mouth-watering spring water dough pizza baked on the stone, monumental hoagies, hot pretzels, wings, meatballs, fresh crisp salads, and over 100 beers from around the world. Dine in, order online, or call ahead for takeout. Then head to the game or the sofa. The Mellow Mushroom in the Vista and on Sunset in Lexington.
Hi, this is Joel Lurie. I'm the host of Health Matters every Monday morning from 9 to 10 right here on 100.7 The Point. Join me as we talk about issues impacting your health and our community. It's Health Matters every Monday at 9 a.m. right here on The Point.
Now on Sports Talk, it's SC Wild with Major Billy Downer of the Department of Natural Resources. Major Downer is here to take your questions about the great outdoors in South Carolina. Give him a call at 888-898-2525. It's SC Wild from DNR on the Sports Talk Radio Network.
Okay, always great to have Major Billy Downer from the Department of National Resources with us. Another edition of SC Wild from DNR here on Sports Talk on the Sports Talk Media Network. First time with the Major since the Thanksgiving holiday, so we hope that he had a great holiday with the family and the friends and the newcomer, and cooked some good turkey and just had a lot of fun in the great outdoors. And he's got a special guest tonight. Major, welcome in. Great to have you with us.
Oh, yeah. Still duck season.
Oh, yeah.
That's it, Phil. Yeah, we're still in duck season. So, yes, we have a special guest tonight. Molly Neese is joining us again. She is a state waterfowl project leader, lives down on the coast. Molly, thanks for joining us tonight.
Hey, Major Downer, appreciate y'all having me on today.
Good. So we're going to do, since the first season, the Thanksgiving season's over, we're getting ready to start the second season here pretty strong. I want to give a report to folks that may be wondering what our waterfowl outlook was for the first season. As far as our Category 1 areas, remember again, there are two types of hunting areas with DNR. There's Category 1, which are what we call our draw hunts. Typically, you have to put in back in the September to October time period, and when it opens, you pay a fee and you pay for a few years, and then you get to get your points.
and you get drawn after a few years, typically when your points build up to where you're selected at the top of the pool. And then we have our Category 2 areas, which are walk-in, basically, first come, first serve. Our Category 1 areas this year, it's been interesting to look at some of the numbers and where Ducks were the top of the Dale at 5.3 Ducks per man. I know you love that, Phil. 5.3. What does a 0.3 Duck look like? I'm not sure. But 5.3 Ducks per man, Murphy Island led the way. Murphy Island had, for more than anything else, we were looking at probably, looks like Gadwall was number 1 duck in the bag, followed by Green Wing Teal, and then American Widgeon, or Baldpate, in third place. In second place at 5.2 ducks per man, interestingly enough, Bear Island Springfield cut came back. We've talked about that area was really good. It kind of gone down. This year, number 2 area, the first couple of weeks, a lot of quality ducks there. 36, the top duck was Green Wing Teal. The number 2 duck, interesting enough, was the Northern Pintail. So Pintails were number 2 at Springfield Cut. That's always going to get somebody's attention. That's at Bear Island. And then in number 3, tied Model Ducks and Blue Wing Teal. So Model Duck number is very high there as well. And that's second place. And then our third place winner, basically at 5.1 ducks per man, we had a tie, basically that's going to be the Cape. 5.1 Cape came in third. Their top duck in the bag again was very simply, pardon me while I read my numbers, I was getting off for a second. But the numbers here, looks like Gadwall again. Gadwall were number 1 again there, followed closely by Blue Wing Teal and Green Wing Teal. So interestingly enough there, Blue Wing Teal, and the Northern Shoveler rounded us out. The Shoveler rounded us out. So Blue Wing Teal, interestingly enough, probably because it's still early season while Blue Wings are still around, typically they're going to move out, maybe go further south. But that's our 1, 2, and 3. Number 1, again, Murphy Island at Santee Coastal. Number 2 was Springfield Cut at Bear Island. Number 3 was the Cape, also at Santee Coastal Reserve. So that's the old Santee Gun Club. So those are the top 3 areas. Other areas fared very, very well also. And Molly, tonight, what I really wanted to get a look at is just, highlight again our waterfowl areas. So many people don't understand the amount of work that goes into these areas. And I can't harp enough, particularly the coastal areas where you're dealing with tides, king tides, where it just floods over the top of the dikes when you get a flood like we had. And even when you don't have that big 2015 flood, there's just sometimes the environment just creates the perfect storm, and we get that king tide or a heavy tide pushes in and it'll break a dike, and then you've got salt water impoundment. Tell us about what that does to those waterfowl impoundments, Molly. What does salt water do in there?
Yeah, salt water can really change your management regime, really the types of plants and various things that you're managing for, natural foods that waterfowl are going to eat here in the coastal area. So more salt can really change you from an environment where you're targeting, smart weeds and beneficial wild millets and things, to where those type plants aren't really there anymore. And so you're kind of having to manipulate your water levels more to really target widgeon grass, the more spike brush, and other rushes and things that really produce seed, but also produce a lot of small bugs and vertebrates, as we like to call them, that are really high protein sources, really beneficial for ducks, and really highly sought after too. So a lot of water and too much water can really change the target plant community that you're going for when you're managing for habitat for waterfowl. So lots of things that salt will do for you. So those tides too can be really problematic when it comes to managing your water control structures and your dikes, which keep your water in certain places and in impoundments and separated from the river. So it can cause us a lot of problems.
So let's talk historically for a minute. So most of our impoundments that we're managing, correct me if I'm wrong, are old rice impoundments. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yeah. Historically, these places were places that were grown in rice in the 1800s.
Correct. So we're talking about the Carolina rice, Carolina Gold, whatever you want to call it, that rice crop that was grown here. And so you drain those fields off, you throw the rice out in the mud, the rice begins to grow, and eventually you can flood that rice and manage out the weeds basically with water. Was how they did that. So let's talk just reality for a minute for folks that may not know this. Is there any rice left?
There's very few places. There's a handful out there that are growing rice along the coast for kind of the novelty of it, or some specialty rices like you mentioned, the Carolina Gold, really good rices to eat. Ducks like them as well, but the places that we can really grow rice in the Carolinas anymore is pretty minimal. Partially because of saltwater intrusion, and then the other part is just our mud. If you've hunted Santee Coast Reserve or Bear Island, they're pretty tough, pretty unforgiving environments to really navigate on foot. So, growing rice in those type areas, if salt wasn't still an issue, is really a challenging environment. So it really takes a specialized piece of property to be able to grow rice anymore. So it does still occur on a small set of tidal wetlands in South Carolina, but nothing like we experienced, in the heyday of rice culture in South Carolina. So.
Sure. Is there any variety of wild rice that grows in our impoundment still?
Yeah, there's in some tidal areas, you'll see a southern wild rice that grows in our tidal areas. But by the time we get to duck season, usually what wild rice is produced on those plants has usually been picked off by blackbirds and those little birds that are foraging through. So there's typically not even a lot of wild rice that's really prevalent in South Carolina anymore. That's at a high enough level that's beneficial for waterfowl.
That's why I asked that. So let's talk about, our fields that we manage, we do a combination of some wetland management or moist soil management, where we're managing, like you said, smart weed, spike rush, widgeon grass, those kind of things. Then there's the fields that we drain off, we dry out, we actually plant row crop and then flood, correct?
Exactly. Yep.
So what kind of row crops do we plant?
You'll see you'll see corn planted in some spots on our WMAs. Planted millets are pretty popular, and in some places you'll even see us plant some tufa. Some of us like to call it nut grass, but a tufa really produces a nice small tuber that grows underground that's really a popular food for ducks here in the southeast. So. Absolutely.
So when we go to the majority of our coastal impoundments, most of those are probably moist soil and involve a lot of manipulation, widgeon grass, things like that. They don't grow well in salt water, yes or no?
Yes, widgeon grass you're going to find really at Bear Island and Santee Coastal Reserve. So places where we've got a little bit of salinity to the water, a little bit of salt there, and we can manipulate water. Really circulate water within impoundments is really good for propagating widgeon grass. So you want a little bit of moving water, and a little bit of salt is a great spot for widgeon grass growth.
So let me highlight something else that people don't know. How do we manipulate water in our coastal impoundments? What do we use?
Oh man, rice trunks, which we used during the rice culture era are still used today. They're excellent tools. It's a little quick snippet for you for how those structures work. That's essentially a wooden box that runs underneath the earthen structure that we call the dike or the levee. And on either side of that structure, it's got two doors that we can raise and lower. And so if we want to put water in an impoundment, we'll crack that door open on the river side of that structure, and it'll push through as the water comes up on high tide and push into the impoundment. If the tide falls back out on the river side, the water pressure from the inside of the impoundment pushes that inside door closed to hold that water in the impoundment. And so we can flip that around. We want to take water off. And so, this is a water control structure that's been used for hundreds and hundreds of years, and we still use them today.
That's what I want to talk about. I don't think people realize that we are using several hundred-year-old technology to move water, and it still works. And when they break, we rebuild them, don't we, Molly?
That's right. We've got a number of DNR.
We have very few people that know how to do that.
That's right. a handful of DNR staff that are really, really good at building those structures, and a handful of private property managers that build their own structures as well. So really specialized pieces of equipment. And, it takes a really good carpenter to build you a really good rice trunk.
And it's designed for a tidal environment, and there's not any other structure out there that works for tidal environments the way rice trunks do. Isn't that correct?
That's correct.
So when people ask, why don't you use just a riser like you do in a pond? Well, that doesn't work when you got tides, because you got to have something to pull that door back shut. And that rice trunk is designed to float with the tide, and as it goes out, it closes the trunk and doesn't let the water back out. So the water goes in, the water doesn't come out. So I wanted to highlight that for a moment. I don't want to spend a whole lot of time on that, but I just think so many people don't realize the intricacies of these old rice dikes, these old impoundments. The mud that we're using, that these dikes are built with, has stayed, hundreds of years of floods, but we're pulling this old mud out of ditches that really doesn't have a whole lot of substance and washes away if you get a rain at the wrong time. Is that right?
That's right. Big rain events and big tides have caused us a number of issues in certain parts along the coast. With our dikes and our trunks in recent years, and we're doing our best to put those back together to where we can really manage these places well. But it takes a really specialized skill set, specialized skill to build trunks, and specialized skill to install them, and even equipment operators, to really recognize good mud, good earthen material to really make sure we get these structures back in the right places so they have a lot of longevity to them.
I know, for example, there's one particular dike I think we've rebuilt almost every year for the last 4 or 5 years.
That's right.
Right. I mean, we've rebuilt it, and then there's a tidal event that comes through, or a rain event. It's like, holy cow! It's just like everything's against you. And I know you're really familiar with Samworth. Samworth has been a topic. Folks that may remember Samworth from years back. We haven't hunted Samworth in a number of years, and this year, for the first time, we're actually going to hold some hunts there because of a lot of good work that's been done. Tell us about the work you've done there.
Yeah, we're back on the hunt schedule for we've been off and on, but more off than on since 2015. So really excited to see that property hunted again. There's been a ton of infrastructure work, is what I like to call it. So a lot of work to the dikes and the water control structures, which is really the key to us managing good habitat. So if you can't control your water, Major Downer, you can't really grow duck food. So that's an important part of the puzzle. But we've done a lot of work there. Our staff has put in a tremendous amount of time, tremendous amount of effort of repairing dikes and water control structures ourselves. We've also partnered with Ducks Unlimited and have secured some national coastal wetland grants and some DALCA money. So some grant funds there to really rehabilitate about half of the property. So some of the larger wetlands have been rehabilitated and really intensively managed here in the past year and a half. So we really got a lot of beneficial millets and smartweeds and other good moist soil plants that are really beneficial for waterfowl forage and even for refuge back up and really looking good on the property. So we're excited to see improved habitat conditions for the public hunter, that may hunt the impoundments or may hunt just adjacent to them in the rivers there. So a lot of good stuff going on, and really excited to see what happens there this season.
Absolutely. So one of the things we haven't talked about, we talked about good plants. Let's talk about bad plants. What are some of the challenges in the coastal environment? I'm going to bring up 2 words that are probably the bane of your existence.
Not that word.
What is it?
White marsh. What is it? White marsh. White marsh. A giant cut grass is what some people will call it. So environments that you see the white marsh or giant cut grass grow. If you've ever walked through the marsh in a really tall, thick grass, and it's really sharp edges. It's true to his name with cut grass. As you know exactly what I'm talking about. Sometimes great to hide a hunter in, but it's not really good duck habitat. Doesn't really provide any forage value for duck, and it's so dense. Ducks don't really even like to get in it to hide, and so you'll get white
alligators like to hide in it, Phil. So you know,
They
Phil,
do.
Alligators do like to hide in it. Yes.
They do. So you'll see white marsh in some of these impoundments, some of these tidal impoundments, to where we just can't quite get the water low enough during the growing season. So white marsh is a plant that we call anaerobic, which is just a fancy word that means it likes to grow in low oxygen conditions. So if you've got water saturated on a field bed, you've got low oxygen conditions, which promotes white marsh and really makes it challenging to grow our more beneficial plants that ducks like to eat. And so where that problem comes in is when we can't get water levels low enough on a field to really knock that white marsh back. And a lot of those problems come when you can't get a field water levels low enough on a field. You walk around that field as a manager and you say, all right, do I have an issue with my dikes where I got water leaking through my dikes? Or do I have an issue where I've got a water control structure leaking, such as a trunk? And so usually that's your best case scenario, is that you got an infrastructure problem that you can come in and fix. Your worst case scenario is some of what we're experiencing on Samworth and then private properties all around Samworth on the Waccamaw PD River system. What we're really seeing in tide gauges on the East Coast, really, if you look specifically from Georgia up to Beaufort, North Carolina, we're really seeing since 2007 an average increase of 10 millimeters of water, sea level rise a year throughout that section of the Atlantic. So if you kind of think, well, how much is 10 millimeters a year? If you think about since 2007, when we really started looking hard at that data, that's an increase in sea level in our area, specifically in the Waccamaw PD, of about 6.25 inches of extra water. And so Billy, when we're thinking about, low tide is really, really important when we talk about managing for white marsh, because low tide allows those trunks to really pull adequate water off of those fields. And, if you got a low tide that's 6.5, almost inches higher, over the past 16 years than what we're historically used to, it really makes it challenging to pull off adequate water to reduce our density of white marsh. And so, but there's some things we can do to combat that. And those things have been going on at Samworth here for about the past 3 or 4 years, where we're going back in and we're reinstalling some historic drainage within the field called quarter drains. That term goes all the way back to the rice culture era. And so it's just small ditches that are installed throughout the field bed that really helps us kind of pull more water off that field. And so doing a lot.
Phil, let me go ahead and tell you, if you're walking across one of these waterfowl impoundments duck hunting, you better, on the coast, you better have a paddle, a stick, because if you hit a quarter drain, you're done. You will go down,
float your hat,
and you may not come back up.
That's right.
The quarter drains, that mud she's talking about, if you step in it, you float your hat and you may stick and have to pull. I've had to sit there and beg somebody to come back to me to pull me out of it. They're terrible.
Is that like quicksand, like we used to see in the Tarzan movies? Quicksand?
Yeah, it's as bad as quicksand I ever thought about being. It's just pluff mud. It is muck. It smells. And when you step in it and you get to a quarter drain and you didn't know it was coming, that's why I always take a paddle in front of me and push.
That's right.
You feel that quarter drain. But if you don't, and you hit that quarter drain at a full gate, you're going down. So, yeah, it makes for a great, funny memory, but it's not very funny at the time. But anyway.
That's right.
I digress. Right. Go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt. So, white marsh, we're working on that. A lot of things, herbicides, burning, all kind of things. I know that you're doing water levels to try to control that. I think, to me, one of the highlights of what happens when we do fix dikes, Springfield Cut was open for a year or two? And now look at where it's at this year. It's the number 2 area in the state.
That's right. That's right.
First season. So, and they had a breach in the dike for the last couple of years they kept having to deal with. I think I'm right.
So, yeah, took a big breach during Hurricane Matthew in 2016, and really kind of changed the dynamics of that portion of Bear Island. But it's great to see that coming back. We've really had a good showing for our lottery hunt sites. During the first split, I don't think Major Downer, I don't think most people realize the significance of harvest averages that high. Most places, public land harvest averages are average closer to 2 across the nation. So 5 is really significant.
When it's over 5, that means a lot of people got the limit, got 6.
Right. With one box
when you
of
get
shells.
5.3, those 3/10, Bill, that 3/10 of a duck means that somebody was getting 6 ducks.
That's right.
Before we got that
That's
3/10 of a duck. So, Phil's always had fun asking me, what's the 4.4 duck look like?
I've always thought the percentage of
it's a wing and a leg.
Well, I've always thought the percentage of the duck was what was left after your buckshot hit it, and took it down.
No buckshot, Phil. We don't use buckshot. That would be a lead shot. That would be illegal. Plus, buckshot would be overkill for the ducks. We don't.
That's what I mean.
Yeah. I understand that. Yes, I understand that. Right. Yeah. But so we got a minute, maybe 2 minutes left. Molly, what message would you like us to leave with tonight about our waterfowl projects across the state? For those that may not know.
Absolutely. So yeah, a lot of effort as always, to really produce the best quality habitat that we can. And we've got a lot of exciting stuff that has gone on over the past year to 2 years with a lot of our really big lottery hunt properties where we've got millions of dollars invested in some of these properties with wetlands grants and other things in cooperation with Ducks Unlimited. So we're really doing everything we can to really produce the best habitat that we can to provide good opportunities for those on our lottery hunts, and then our public land hunters that hunt waterways and other parts of our WMA. So those category 1s and category 2s are really important for us. And I hunt them myself. I look forward to my lottery.
Me too.
For a few years, and I enjoy those category 2s and our other public land opportunities as well. So really looking forward to the season that's coming.
Absolutely. Category 1 so popular, we had just short of 5,000 people put in, 4,911 people put in. That's incredible. That many people put in for our lottery hunts. That's just really incredible. And 1,022 people got selected. So it used to be in the old days, 3 times you put in for 3 years, you get drawn. Now it's pretty much your 5th year if you're real selective. I checked on that and looked at that. For folks that want to know about that, you have to get your preference points, which means the years you don't get drawn. So don't give up. Keep putting in. That 4th or 5th year, you're going to get drawn probably, and you'll have a great hunt. Again, thanks, Molly, for being a part of tonight's show.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, Major. Fantastic job. And thank you, Molly. Great stuff. That'll do it for tonight. Thank you for listening to Sports Talk. Thank you for listening to SC Wild from DNR. And we'll see you tomorrow night.
Someone will be right with you.
The Point. WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
From the Bart Fireside Studio, the solution for keeping you warm this winter.
This is 107 The Point.